let's talk about this Big Ten East and see how this is going to hammer out. We've got two big games that are going to determine some things. This week, we got Sparty versus Penn State going into the Knits house. That's a 3:30 game. That might be more exciting than the Buckeye game, honestly. Big one. It's on BTN, by the way, in case anybody's asking. Penn State still ranked number 8. I thought they were a little higher.
They're ranked 8?
Yeah, I thought they were a little higher. They must have dropped like 4 or 5 spots after.
I thought they went down to like 11th or something. Maybe they've moved back up by attrition. Other people falling out.
Yeah, maybe. So what do you think? I'm looking at these leading passer from Michigan State last few weeks, like Lewerke. He's like on and off. 2 weeks ago against Central Michigan, he only put up 185. He's thrown for 300 twice this year. And then their running game is all over the map. They've got a different guy every week putting up numbers, but nothing outstanding. The Davis had 50 yards. Jefferson, 50 before. Naylor had 79. Naylor, I hardly know her. Naylor was 79 against Indiana. Their receivers, this Davis guy, is leading receiver the last 3 weeks, too.
Yeah, Felton Davis, he's their guy. Their other guy, Cody White, he's hurt. I don't think long term. I'm not sure. Maybe it was 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Can't quite remember. They got another guy that's in there. I don't know what it is with Sparty, but they're not looking sharp. You're going into Happy Valley. Pretty tough place to play. Ask any Buckeye. You're coming into it to a pissed off Penn State team. Last time Penn State played football, they lost. They had a bye week, and now you're coming to their house where they feel like they let their fans down. So, good luck to Sparty, but it's really, but it is a huge game for both of them. I mean, if Penn State loses this, they're done. Your season's over. If Sparty loses this, I mean, your reputation's that you guys are going to be a 6-6, 7-5 team if you lose this game.
Yeah, they could easily lose 5 games this year, maybe even 6, like you said. I'm looking at Sparty here in the national defensive stats. They're not terrible, man. I'm telling you, they're only allowing 4.87 yards per play. That's among some of the best in the country. It's definitely not lower level. Allowed 12 TDs. They're giving up 339 yards per game. That's a little bit higher than most good defenses. You know, teams like Michigan are allowing 230. Clemson 260, Iowa 270, Georgia 280. So giving up a little bit of yardage, but just I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Well, it's weird. It's all coming in the air is where it's coming from. If you look at their rushing yards, they're probably number one. They're certainly in the top 3 of rushing defense. No one's run on Sparty yet, but they give up 3 touchdowns and 300 yards every week.
Yeah, it looks like
air. And it was coming into this season, they were all about their secondary, and that was supposed to be the strength of the team. And those guys, a lot like the Buckeyes, it's just something isn't right back there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't look terrible. I mean, they got beat by 10 last week to Northwestern, but I don't know.
That's pathetic. And it's only so pathetic. Now Northwestern's beat them 3 in a row, but it only makes it more pathetic that the Zips beat Northwestern.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we were going off on that a couple weeks ago. But Michigan State put up 425 yards of total offense. How does that not equate to more than 19 points? They only had 1 turnover. Not running the ball at all. Jesus. Neither one of these teams.
So, that being said, I think Michigan State's got problems. We'll find out this week. But I also, even though Penn State took us down to the wire, I'm not sold on Penn State as that good either. I think that environment, I think on a neutral field or at Ohio Stadium, we could beat Penn State by 3 scores. I mean, I don't think if we play McSorley again, he's going to go off for a $175 on the ground.
Penn State has been averaging what? What were they averaging? Like over 50 points per game before we played them.
Yeah.
I realized it was against, App State, Pitt, Kent State, Illinois. I realized that was, getting fat against chumps, but I don't know. They seem to move the ball really easily. Let's see this. ESPN has Penn State at 88.7% chance of winning. Total yards.
88.7? Wow.
Yeah. So it's not even close. Spread is 13.5. So yeah, money line's pretty heavy on Penn State too.
That's when the chip on their shoulder D'Antonios are their toughest, though. Right when no one thinks they can win, they do.
Right. But they don't seem to do well going away from home. Remember last year coming into Columbus? We fucking smoked them because it was a nice clear day and there was nothing to slow the game down. It seems like they need help to slow the game down or make it more of a street fight,
Yeah, I agree. The times they beat us, it was like windstorms and rain, and they love that shit.
Right.
It neutralizes the speed of the athletes.
Right, exactly. So yeah, total yards, Sparty's putting up 389, Penn State at 510. And we didn't help that average for Penn State a couple weeks ago either. We probably helped it go north. Defense, they both give up almost 350, so that's kind of a wash. This running game is going to be the deciding factor, I think. At Penn State, they're going to ride Miles Sanders and McSorley. Michigan State's going to have to come out throwing the ball. I don't know what's up with their receivers. They need to find somebody reliable, though. Work this Felton Davis guy.
Yeah, he'll be the one that's putting in the work. I think they had another guy that came back maybe last week. But Felton Davis is their guy. And then they're supposed to have this tight end, so cool. And they're not getting much out of their tight end play, I don't feel.
Yeah, he had
they probably need one of those guys to step up.
Yeah. They got this Cam Chambers. They got Connor Hayward had 7 catches.
He had 7?
Yeah.
I wonder where was that out of the backfield?
Must have been.
Or they got him like in the slot now, or
I'd imagine they're throwing swing passes or screens or something like that. That was against Northwestern. Hayward did nothing out of the backfield. 5 carries, 12 yards. Ladarius Jefferson, 6 carries, 15 yards. Felton Davis had 2 carries for a total of 50.
Fuck. Jet sweeps.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they're going to have to find a passing game here and maybe just abort the run because it looks like the run doesn't exist for them.
Yeah, I don't know if that O-line they need to pull together. And I think I just heard one of the guys is probably out this week. But maybe that'll be an upgrade.
Yeah, right.
They have not looked good.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how that one plays out. I'm going to go, if I had to choose a team, I think I would take Penn State to cover. You set it up. They've had 2 weeks to think about this game. They have to get healthy and be ready to come out and smash somebody after losing to the Buckeyes. So I think they come out with an attitude, and I think they easily cover, maybe by even 3 touchdowns.
I could see it happening. I could see it easily happening. And if it's a blowout like you think it might be, then bye-bye Sparty.
Yeah, and then you got to think about Dino's future, because that's going to start a downward spiral potentially with Michigan on deck, Purdue, Maryland, and the Buckeyes. That's definitely potentially 3 losses to finish the season after 2 already.
Right. I mean, I'm almost guaranteeing those 3 losses.
They are almost in the books. These are ranked teams,
Yeah,
highly ranked teams.
yeah, teams that look decent.
Yeah,
Sparty's not look decent, but Sparty was. If they win one, please let them win Michigan. I'd love
yeah,
to see them beat Michigan.
yeah. That's the only time it's worth it.
This game, I don't care who wins or loses. We're in the driver's seat against Penn State.
It's
Sparty
probably
isn't going to be relevant.
yeah. It really doesn't matter. It's probably not going to affect us whatsoever, unless we take a loss.
Right.
So as long as that loss isn't to Michigan State, I think we're in good shape. Since we beat Penn State, have the tiebreaker on our side. So let's talk about the Wolves. Team up north, they got Whiskey at home coming in. It's a night game, 7:30 on ABC. Whiskey ranked number 15. You know that's going to be a knock 'em down, drag 'em out, backyard kind of punch in the face, kick in the nuts kind of game. These teams are putting up some yards though. Whiskey's putting up 480. Michigan's putting up 420. But Michigan's D is the deciding factor there. That's a big difference. 350 for Whiskey to 230 allowed by the Wolverine defense. Ouchies. I know Rashawn Gary's been a little dinged up on the D line there, but I'm not sure how you overcome that kind of average of 230.
Is that 230 like the best in the country?
Yeah, they are number one.
Well, we knew that going in, right?
Yep. No surprise.
They were returning 9 starters on Brown's defense. That was really fucking good last year. So to me, they're kind of doing what they do. The thing is, I think their D shows up and beats up the little guys, which is pretty much all they played, except for Notre Dame. But they played Notre Dame when Notre Dame had a shitty quarterback.
And still lost, yeah.
When they get in the big games, I don't know. That D doesn't look as stout.
Yeah.
Sparty always seems to do well against them. We do well against that D. It didn't hold us to 230 yards.
Oh, no. Definitely not. See what Wisconsin's done here lately. Wolverines, just beat up on some weaklings lately.
See, and that's just it with me. Who'd they play?
Yeah. Outside of the Notre Dame game, they've really gotten healthy against some, SMUs and shit like that. Where Whiskey, played a fight with Iowa at Iowa. That was their only real tough game, but then they took that loss to BYU that I can't figure out. No idea what happened there. Maybe an off night. That was at home, though. I don't know how you have an off night at home. They outgained BYU that night, like 400 to 300. Almost equal in the rushing, but I can't tell you, looking at the stat sheet, what happened. It looked very equal. Looks very equal, but they lost by a field goal. So that Hornibrook guy really scares me for Whiskey.
I don't know. Hornibrook's always good for a couple picks.
Noodle arm. Yeah,
I think I don't know. Going into this thing, Wisconsin's supposed to have the best O-line in the country. A bunch of these guys came back, or a couple of them did anyway. And like you just said, the rushing's kind of underwhelming when they're supposed to have the best running back in the country, or one of the. What's going on? And you just went through that first 5 games of the season when you're supposed to build those Heisman stats, and then grind it out to the rest of your conference. His numbers haven't been there against these duds.
Right. Look at Hornibrook's numbers. Let me run through these real quick. Starting with Western Kentucky, week 1. 257. Then New Mexico, 148. BYU, 190. At Iowa, 205. And then Nebraska, 163. In a game that they won 41-24. He threw for 163 and 1 touchdown. Jesus. Could you be more underwhelming?
Hornibrook.
And Jonathan Taylor is no fucking stud either. Starting from week 1, 145, 253, 117, 113, then 221.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's better than I thought.
Yeah, he had 2 good games in there, but otherwise just barely over 100. He's got plenty of touchdowns, obviously, because they get down inside the 5 and just pound it.
Well, I hope they do that with Michigan. I think Michigan's got a fast defense, but I don't know if they're so big. I feel like you can pound the rock on Michigan.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the strategy.
You see them big cheese boys up there in Wisconsin, you a little push.
Mm-hmm. So the spread is Michigan at 8.5.
Ooh.
Over under is 47. I'm definitely taking that under. It's going to be like a 12-10 game. I think I'd take whiskey with the points. 8.5, man. That's over a touchdown.
I like whiskey at them points.
Even in Michigan.
Yeah, because Michigan, even though they've got a bunch of good players, their offense is hot garbage.
Yeah, they really haven't identified themselves on offense at all.
Throw a couple bombs to that Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, Shea
So
Patterson.
I don't know Harbaugh likes to bring in that fullback though.
Yeah,
smash it in there.
Yeah, he'll run the same shit, just pound it all day long, face to face. Shea Patterson's not throwing up great numbers either. He'll night and day. He'll have a good week, off week. 227 against Notre Dame week 1, then a $125 against Western Michigan. 237 against SMU, 120 against Nebraska in a 56-10 win, 196 at Northwestern, and then 282 against Maryland with 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I can't tell you what their strength is. I know that Higdon's a good running back.
But they like to have a two-headed monster too. I don't know if that Evans has been out and hurt. Kind of, they're 1 and 1A running backs. I think that Evans will be back this year, though, at some point. Their O-line, you look at the prospects, that O-line is a bunch of big-name prospects. I recognize all of them, like recruiting. They're big. They look a lot like Ohio State's O-line. And I think they're starting to gel. Michigan actually starting to look halfway decent as it goes on here. I like them to win that game, but I do think Wisconsin covers. I think it'll be a 24-20 game, something like that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it gets that high, man. I'm thinking like 20 to 13, 20 to 17, something like that. Michigan, wins at home unless they turn it over a lot. A couple turnovers will finish them real quick in a smash mouth game like that.
Especially if Wisconsin can start running that ball, sustain the drives, get up by 2 scores, and start putting together 9-yard or 9-play drives that chew up 4.5 minutes.
And lest we forget, this is just the beginning of their gauntlet they're going through right now, the team up north. They got Wisconsin, then they go to Michigan State next week, and then the following week is, they have a bye, and then they have Penn State. So, those are 3 tough ones out of 4 weeks. 2 ranked teams. Penn State, I don't know, man. I see Penn State rolling into the big house and probably winning that game. As of right now, anyway.
Sparty can beat Michigan.
They can.
Because, look, we both agree they're going to get stomped this week, probably. And so now that's 3 losses. Michigan's their whole season. They're going to get up for that game. We're probably going to blow them out like we did last year. But the Michigan game, Sparty can win that game. Well, see how awful they look this week. Maybe they can't. But I thought Michigan's gauntlet was going to be a lot tougher than it looks, because Wisconsin does not look very good. Sparty doesn't look very good. Penn State, I guess, looks all right. I would have thought Michigan would have dropped 2 out of 3 of that gauntlet. I'm betting they win 2 out of 3 and have a real shot at winning them all.
I don't know. I'm going to lean. They lose at least one. Definitely the Penn State game. But we'll see. It doesn't take much to sway the tide against the Wisconsin team, where you're just going back and forth, and a turnover in the fourth quarter.
Well, look,
could decide that game.
At Northwestern, who sucks, gave them everything they wanted.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, a turnover late could decide that game. You put one on the carpet, and your night's ended.
Oh, I hope that it'd be beautiful to see them lose 3 out of 3, and then lose to Ohio State.
Yeah, we're kind of just hanging back, watching all this blood unfold, because you got Penn State, as we just talked about, bringing Sparty into their house, and then in a few weeks they got Michigan at Michigan, we just talked about, and then they got Wisconsin back in their place. So, and that's middle of November. So we're just kind of letting the carnage fall and see who's left.
Right. I mean, if Wisconsin, I guess they've got no losses in the Big Ten.
Same with Michigan. Wisconsin's probably going to win the West.
Even if they lose this, they're probably going to. Even if they lose this, though, they're probably going to still win their conference, right? Or
division. Yeah.
Division.
Iowa has the loss to Wisconsin, so that Wisconsin owns the tiebreaker there. Iowa would have to win out, which they probably won't. They have Penn State, then they have a Northwestern game, and then the rest of their garbage division. Indiana too. I wouldn't write in that Indiana game in Penn. I would pencil that in as a W at Indiana. Those dudes played tough.
Iowa at Indiana?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Iowa
they got 3
Indiana?
potential losses right there. So, plus Wisconsin has the tiebreaker over them. So it's pretty much Whiskey's division to lose.
Yeah.
So
gosh,
lame.
it's so lame over there.
Handle your business.
I don't know. I think you could see. You were going to bring it up about chances to run the table for the Buckeyes, and I think it looks real good to go into Michigan undefeated, win there. I think everything sets up real nice. Like I said, this kind of boring part of the season, kind of cakewalking through Minnesota. Who do we got next?
Purdue.
Then Nebraska. Purdue, maybe.
Yeah. We got a week
then
off
Nebraska.
in Nebraska, in Columbus. Then we go to Sparty. Then we go to Maryland. And then home against Michigan.
To me, that's
It is.
very manageable.
Yeah, especially with Sparty kind of, taking a step back this year unexpectedly.
Yeah.
We expected them to be a 10-win team almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought if everything played out right, they could be contending for it all, or in the Big Ten anyway. I don't know about nationally, but thought if the cards fell right, again, bringing that many guys back and you won 10 games last year, it's like you think you'd get better,
right? So
maybe not.
Michigan's only route, I feel, to the playoffs, which is they have to win out in conference. They can't take a loss, which is going to be really difficult with this remaining schedule. And then, obviously, beat us. They'll have the tiebreaker over us, and they'll go to the Big Ten championship game. But I don't see this happening for them. I think we're definitely in the driver's seat. Obviously, being undefeated makes it so. But having the tiebreaker over Penn State is key, which we didn't have in the past. And then having this kind of easier schedule leading up to Michigan. We got Maryland right before Michigan, where we can get healthy from the Michigan State game and then maybe work on some stuff and rest some guys leading into Michigan.
Yeah, but even if Michigan were to say lose to Wisconsin this weekend and then run the table and beat us,
Right. Yeah, they would have the
they would
tiebreaker
go.
over us. Both teams with one loss, or even if we had two losses.
I think it'll all come down to that game.
Yeah, things won't be decided until then, unless they lose like a game or two.
3 in a row. Oh, let them lose the next 3. 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. Heads explode up here.
So, what do you want to talk about? You want to do any Heisman talk on the last few minutes here?
Hit that other big game of the week. You tell me about Georgia LSU.
Yeah, we can
give my
him a
boy Joe Burrow a mention.
We got Georgia coming to Death Valley. That is a 3:30 game on CBS, of course, home of the SEC. We got Georgia at a 7.5-point favorite as of right now. Yeah, this is a 2 versus 13
in Death Valley
matchup. What do you see this? You think Joey B?
I didn't watch the game they lost last week. Who did they lose to? It was the Ole Miss or Mississippi State? Florida. They lost to Florida.
He had some turnovers in that game.
I don't know. I think he can pull it together and hopefully pull out a win there. If not, I'd still take LSU in the points. I think that's a pretty tough place to play. I haven't watched LSU a ton, but pulling from our boy Joe Burrow. I haven't really watched Georgia either. I mean, are they looking as good as they looked?
I haven't watched much of them. They're putting up some serious yardage on offense, like 485 a game. Their schedule though is probably the toughest in the country, man. But they've played garbage so far. This will be the beginning of their tough stretch. They got LSU, Florida, Kentucky is a surprise this year, playing well. Mm-hmm. Then Auburn. Then they got UMass and Georgia Tech. But anyway, so they got a tough 4-game stretch here where they could easily lose 2. I think they could lose to Auburn and to LSU.
Yeah, that's not going to be an easy game. I don't think at LSU. We'll see.
Yeah, Joey B.
Bayou boys.
Yeah, he's got to take care of the ball here.
My Bayou boys.
Hopefully they can run it, move the ball on them. Yeah, they're almost putting up 400 yards a game. LSU is. Just Georgia's defense is really, really good. They're allowing 280 a game. LSU's like 340. That's a big difference there.
Well, you never know. Maybe this stadium can get loud and get in that quarterback's head a little bit.
Yeah, and they play Justin Fields, the freshman, once in a while too.